you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and instantly capture attention without uttering a single word? It's not their appearance, not their wealth, not even their title. It's something you can't see, yet you can feel it instantly. It's the quiet force of inner confidence, steady, unshakable, magnetic. And here's the beautiful truth. That kind of confidence, it becomes yours the moment you stop allowing others to define your value. Let this truth sink in. You are the only one who truly knows your worth. Not your boss, not your best friend, not the strangers who scroll past your photos online, just you. And here's the most powerful part. Once you start believing in that worth, everything begins to shift. People notice, people follow. Why? Because the world reflects what you show it. If you walk with quiet confidence, people sense it. They begin to treat you as someone who matters. But if you're always second-guessing, tiptoeing around opinions, worried about how you're being perceived, they sense that too. People mirror your energy. That's why confidence isn't about being flawless. It's not about never failing, never being rejected, or never messing up. Real confidence is knowing that even if you do fall, you'll rise. You'll be fine. Because you trust yourself to get back up. And that kind of trust, it makes you fearless. When you know you can handle anything, nothing and no one can shake you. The sad truth is, most people spend their whole lives chasing approval. They shape how they dress, how they talk, even how they smile, all to win the invisible nod of acceptance from others. But there's a problem with that approach. When your happiness depends on what others think, you hand over the keys to your emotional well-being. If they praise you, you light up. If they criticize you, you shrink. If they ignore you, you begin to question your value. That's no way to live. It's exhausting. And worse, it's unstable. Here's what most people don't realize. What others think of you actually says more about them than it does about you. Everyone sees the world through their own filters, their insecurities, their wounds, their experiences. One person might be inspired by you. Another might envy you. One might call you brilliant. Another might call you overrated. So, who's right? Neither. Because opinions are not facts, they're reflections. Echoes of the one expressing them. And the moment you understand that, you stop letting opinions define your worth. From the time we're little, we're trained to seek approval. Gold stars, high grades, compliments, likes, shares. But at some point, you have to break free. Because chasing approval is a race with no finish line. No matter how perfect you try to be, someone, somewhere, will still find a reason to tear you down. You could be the kindest soul on earth, work your hardest, mean no harm to anyone, and someone will still criticize you. So why keep trying to win a game that can't be won? Why let your confidence rest on something as unstable as public opinion? The moment you stop seeking validation, you begin to live differently. You make choices based on what you truly want, not what looks good to others. You stop rehearsing your words before every conversation. You stop shrinking your voice to avoid discomfort. You stop walking on eggshells. And ironically, that's when people finally respect you. Not because you begged for it, but because you stopped needing it. Because confidence is magnetic, truly magnetic. The more grounded you are in who you are, the more people are naturally drawn to you. Like a quiet flame in a dark room, you don't need to shout or seek attention. Your certainty speaks for itself. But wait, does that mean you should ignore all feedback? Of course not. Growth requires listening, learning, and adapting. But here's where many people get it wrong. There's a huge difference between thoughtfully considering constructive feedback and living in constant need of approval. One builds you, the other binds you. The real power lies in discernment. You don't have to accept every opinion thrown your way. Ask yourself, is this feedback helping me grow, or is it just noise? If it adds value, take it in. If it doesn't, let it pass like a leaf in the wind. And here's what happens when you master this. You become immune to manipulation. People can no longer guilt trip you, pressure you, or pull your strings with their opinions. Their words lose control over your emotions. You stop fearing rejection. You stop constantly trying to prove your worth. And when that happens, when you're no longer tied to the expectations of others, you become truly free. In the end, this is your life. Not your parents, not your friends, not society's, yours. So ask yourself, are you going to live it for your own purpose or for the approval of people who might forget about you tomorrow? Once you answer that honestly, a shift happens. Suddenly, nothing and no one can rattle you like before. Because here's the thing, perspective is everything. How you view a situation determines how it affects you. Two people can experience the exact same event. One walks away angry and bitter, the other stays calm and collected. Why? Because one of them knew how to step back and shift their lens. Your ability to reframe what you see is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever have. It can turn stress into strategy, frustration into fuel, and offense into nothing more than background noise. Yet most people don't realize they even have that power. They assume emotions just happen to them. Someone is rude, they feel they have to get angry. Something goes wrong, they assume they must feel upset. But that's not how it works. The trigger isn't the cause, the interpretation is. And that means you're not powerless. You can choose a different response simply by shifting your perspective. Take criticism, for example. Someone throws out a negative comment. Your knee-jerk reaction might be to feel offended, to jump in and defend yourself, to prove them wrong. But what if you paused for a second and saw it differently? What if, instead of absorbing it as a personal attack, you saw it as raw data? Maybe it's constructive, something you can learn from. Or maybe it's just projection, a reflection of their own insecurities. Either way, it doesn't need to ruin your peace. When you start seeing criticism as either helpful or irrelevant, it loses all power over you. Now, let's get one thing straight. Choosing peace doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect or pretending nothing happened. What it does mean is this: you no longer give others the power to control your peace. If someone throws an insult your way, and you don't take the bait who really lost, they did. Because their goal was to rattle you, to get under your skin, to spark a reaction, and when they fail, their power over you vanishes. Now think about the strongest, most respected people you know. Are they the ones who explode at every small irritation? Or are they the ones who stay grounded, calm, composed like still water even in a storm? Real strength isn't found in yelling the loudest. It's in refusing to be moved. It's in choosing to control your emotions instead of being controlled by them. And here's where the power grows even deeper. The moment you stop letting little things bother you, the people who used to poke at your emotions, they lose their grip on you. That coworker who loves to stir drama when they realize you don't flinch anymore, they stop. That person who criticizes just to get a rise out of you when they see their words bounce off, they'll either change their tone or quietly disappear. Why? Because they only ever had the influence you allowed. It's the same reason you don't get mad when a toddler throws a tantrum in the middle of a grocery store. You understand they don't know any better, so you don't take it personally. Now, what if you applied that same logic to adults? What if, instead of taking offense every time someone acted out, you saw their negativity as a mirror of them, not a measure of you? You'd stop wasting precious time and energy fighting battles that never belonged to you in the first place. At the end of the day, life becomes simpler, lighter, when you finally realize that you are in charge of your emotions. Not your boss, not your family, not some stranger on the internet. You. And when you truly take that ownership, you become unshakable. Confidence, at its core, is like armor. When you have it, other people's words and actions can't pierce you. But when you don't, even the smallest jab can feel like a full-blown attack. That's why some people walk through life constantly offended, always on edge, always feeling like they're being disrespected. It's not because the world is against them, it's because, deep down, they're not secure in who they are. But when you know who you are, when you trust yourself fully, the noise around you fades. People can talk. They can whisper, criticize, provoke. But none of it sticks. Because you're no longer shaken by words that don't define you. Let me ask you this. Think about the last time someone said something that really got to you. Why did it bother you so much? Was it because their words were true, or because a part of you feared they might be? That's what most people never realize. Insults only sting when they strike an old wound. If you called a lion weak, would it care? Not even for a second. Why? Because it knows exactly what it is. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't need approval. But call someone who's insecure weak, and watch how fast they react, not because they're actually weak, but because they haven't fully convinced themselves that they're strong. That's why building real confidence is the foundation for living unbothered by what people say or do. Because when you truly believe in yourself, when that belief becomes solid like bedrock, you stop chasing validation from the outside. You stop needing applause to feel seen. You stop needing approval to feel worthy. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need their opinions to define your value. And the moment you release that need, the moment you stop looking to others for permission to feel okay, you become untouchable. Because here's the harsh truth. Many people try to tear others down not because you've done anything wrong, but because they're trying to lift themselves up. They attack you to mask their own insecurities. But when you remain unmoved, when you stay grounded in who you are, their power over you disappears completely. Now, let's be clear. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not walking into a room thinking you're better than everyone else. It's walking in and not needing to compare yourself at all. A confident person doesn't pick every fight. They don't argue just to win. They don't feel the need to defend themselves against every opinion, every look, or every misunderstanding. Why? Because they know who they are, and that knowing is enough. And when you arrive at that level of self-assurance, life gets a whole lot easier. You stop overanalyzing what people think of you. You stop letting small comments spiral into major stress. You stop taking things personally that were never really about you in the first place. But here's the twist. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not a gift. It's a skill. It's something you build, brick by brick. Every time you stand by a decision, even when it's hard. Every time you resist the urge to let someone's negativity define your mood, you're strengthening it. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. And the stronger it gets, the less likely anything or anyone can shake you. So, where do you begin? Step 1. Stop seeking approval. The moment you realize you don't need it, the second that truth clicks, you reclaim control over your emotional space. If someone criticizes you, let them. If someone doubts you, let them. Their opinions do not rewrite your reality. And here's the beautiful irony. The less you care about impressing people, the more they start respecting you. Why? Because people respect those who respect themselves first. Now sure, shifting your mindset isn't always easy in the heat of the moment. It takes intention, practice, patience, but it's a skill worth mastering. So the next time someone annoys you or tries to throw you off, take a deep breath. Pause for just 1 second and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Most of the time you'll realize it's not. And when you train yourself to do that, to step back, to zoom out, to see the bigger picture, you become unshakable. Because in the end, it's not about controlling everything around you. You can't. It's about learning to control how you see it. And when you master that, nothing and no one can get under your skin. Here's one last truth, and it's a simple one, but powerful. If you don't take something seriously, it can't hurt you. Think about it. The things that bother you most are the ones you give the most meaning to. If someone insults you, and you take it personally, it burns. But if you laugh it off, if you strip it of importance, that insult loses all its power. It becomes just another sound in the background. And you keep walking. Humor and indifference. Two of the most powerful shields you can carry through life. Why? Because together, they make you untouchable. Humor lets you laugh at what was meant to wound you. Indifference allows you to let go of what doesn't deserve your attention. When you have both, you don't just survive, you rise above. Now look around. People who go through life easily offended, constantly tense, always scanning for something to be upset about, those are the ones who suffer the most. Not because the world is harder on them than anyone else, but because they let everything in. They absorb negativity like a sponge instead of letting it bounce off like rain on a windshield. And the truth is, there will always be negativity. Always someone ready to criticize, to annoy, to provoke. The real question is, will you let them? Or will you choose to rise above it? Because the moment you learn to laugh at what was designed to hurt you, you take away its sting. The moment you stop giving your energy to nonsense stops having power over you. If someone tries to bring you down, don't engage. Don't get pulled into the mud. Just smile and move on. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you ignore real problems or never speak up. What it does mean is that you no longer waste your precious energy on things or people that don't deserve it. Because here's a powerful truth. Most people who try to upset you aren't doing it because of you. They're doing it because of them. Because they're unhappy. Because they're insecure. Because they're desperately looking for a reaction, any reaction to make themselves feel noticed. And the moment you react, you give them exactly what they want. But if you stay calm, if you choose not to play their game, you take away all their power. Nothing frustrates a person more than realizing they can't get to you. And that's where indifference becomes your greatest weapon. If humor is the shield that deflects the blow, indifference is the armor that makes sure the blow never even lands. When you reach the point where people's negativity doesn't even register, when you no longer feel the need to respond just to prove a point, when you can walk away from pointless battles without hesitation, that's not weakness, that's real strength. Some people think ignoring negativity means you're being passive or weak, but it's not. It's emotional discipline. It's knowing that your peace of mind is worth more than a temporary argument or someone else's chaos. Not every insult deserves a comeback. Not every battle needs a warrior. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is let it go. Not because you're incapable of responding, but because responding would cost you something more valuable, your time and energy. And your energy? It's not infinite, it's precious. So spend it wisely on things that build you, not things that drain you. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, don't give them the satisfaction. Smile. Shrug it off. Walk away. Because the moment you stop letting things get to you, the moment you learn to laugh and remain indifferent to nonsense, that's the moment you become untouchable. Some people believe strength is about always winning, always having the last word, always proving you're right no matter the cost. But real strength? It's quieter. It's the ability to walk away when the battle isn't worth your peace of mind. It's the wisdom of knowing that your energy is far too valuable to waste on petty arguments, pointless debates, or trying to convince someone who's already locked inside their own conclusions. Think about it. The strongest people in the room are rarely the loudest. They're not the ones who argue the most or take every challenge head on. They're the ones who know exactly when to speak and when silence is more powerful. They know when to step back, and more importantly, when to let things go. You see, the need to be right, it's one of the biggest emotional traps we fall into. It draws us into endless back and forths, drains our energy, and often leaves us wondering why we felt so exhausted over something that didn't even matter in the end. How many times have you witnessed two people locked in a stubborn exchange over something insignificant, both refusing to yield? And in the end, who really wins? Even if you win the argument, what's the prize? A stressed out mind? A bruised relationship? Another hour of your life gone forever? That's not a victory, that's your ego in disguise. Letting go of the need to win doesn't make you weak. It means you've reached a higher level where peace is more important than pride. Where you realize not every battle needs a warrior, and not every opinion needs a rebuttal. Some people argue just for the sake of arguing. Some are stuck in their beliefs, and no amount of logic or truth will sway them. And some only want a reaction. And the most powerful thing you can do? Don't give them one. When you stop responding to negativity, you take away its fuel. When you stop giving attention to nonsense, it eventually fades. People can only argue with you if you argue back. They can only disturb your peace if you open the door. But the moment you decide your peace is sacred, that your energy is too valuable to waste, everything shifts. Yes, it takes maturity to stay silent when your ego wants to roar. And it takes true wisdom to walk away when your pride begs to stay and fight. But the reward? It's freedom. The kind of freedom that allows you to move through life unbothered, unshaken, and deeply at peace. Not because you're avoiding problems, but because you've learned what's worth your attention and what's not. So, next time someone tries to bait you into a fight, pause. Ask yourself, if I get involved in this, what do I really gain? Most of the time, the answer is nothing. No peace, no growth, no clarity. Just wasted time, scattered thoughts, and drained energy. But if you walk away, if you let it go, you gain something far more powerful. Control over yourself. And when you have that, nothing and no one can shake you ever again.